I moved from a mouldy mansion to a mouldy hobbit hole. Here is my previous library. When I moved, I got rid of one bookcase because it does not physically fit in my new house. I have tried to make little nooks and shelves everywhere I can to put more books, and I unhauled 12 bags before I moved. And since I've moved, I think I've rehauled about double that. And now there's no room, so we need to sort that out.
Right, The Poet Empress. As you can see, beautiful cover. So many awards. Goodreads awards, 5-star Amazon, loads of other awards. I started reading this, was not hooked. On paper, I should have loved this. I really wanted to slog through it, so I actually recommended it to my new book club, that we all read it, because based on what they told me that they liked, I thought they would love this book. And one of them did. I still did not finish this book. I thought, yeah, if I make myself accountable and put this as the book club read, then I'll have a motivation to finish it, because now I'm held liable and responsible. I got to this page, 143. I DNF'd this book because I didn't care. I didn't care about anyone. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't care what happened to them. I didn't feel sorry for them. So, yeah, I realised you can have pages of beautiful descriptions. You can have, I love the premise of this book. I love the concepts in this book. There's beautiful description, but you can describe anything. You can describe architecture and silks in loads of beautiful visual imagery, and it doesn't equal atmosphere. And I heard that it's got a twisty ending, and the lady that read it at my book club says she's not sure she liked the ending, but tell me, does it get better? Should I keep this or should I get rid of this one? Maybe I didn't care. I mean, the lady at the book club said all she wants is to send her brother to school. Maybe it's because I'm a crunchy homehead mum. I thought that was not a good enough motivation for me. Although I can understand in her world, school is a much more important thing. But I don't know. I didn't care about the flashbacks of here's the character's childhood and this is why he's such an arse. I didn't feel sorry for him and I just didn't care. So, is this a story that has something to give me other than, following the characters through, because I don't care about the characters and I can't see myself suddenly becoming to care about the characters. So yeah, let me know. Do I put this in the donate pile or do I keep this one? Because I'm half tempted just to keep it because look, it's so pretty. But I don't know. This is a really interesting one to talk about. I had this on my TBR for such a long time. It's a quite expensive one to get hold of. I heard about this on a homemade podcast. I can't remember the name of it, but it was Autumn Curran's podcast, and the author was really interesting. But I read this over 2 years ago now, and I got to, I think it was page 151. And I can remember so much because I was trying to articulate why I didn't like this or why I DNF'd it, why I got bored of it. And I can remember so much. I can remember what my imagination imagined the city or the town to look like. I can remember there was a brother and a sister and their parents had died, and there was a weird dynamic because the brother was leaving and the sister doesn't want him to, and the princess kind of liked the main male character, but I can't remember anyone's names. I remember there was a ritual in a town square, and then the main character goes to a commoner's house and they sell like goods and pots and earthenware, and their house was filled with it, and they celebrate the customs in the old ways. And I remember the forest and what it looked like, and the introduction of the siren, and there was a bunch of other people that they run into, from another town, and the town had been desolated, but I can't remember why. And I remember one of the last things I read was when they had an encounter with a giant. But I can't remember why or where the main male character was going. And I didn't care if he got the princess in the end. I don't think he cared. As much as I remember, I don't think he really gave a crap. But I do remember what the inside of the palace looked like in my head. And the king and the princess, and I think it was a brother was there in the room. But that is a lot. So this does not mean that it is bad writing, because I can remember all of that from reading to page 151 about 2.5 years ago. And again, I should love this based on the themes and everything else. But I think strong imagery isn't enough for me. I need the atmosphere, and I didn't care much about the characters, I guess. I think I need something to anchor or attach myself to in a psychological sense, as well as it serving me up all of the atmosphere and description. But I could be convinced to go back and carry this one on for sure. So if you have read this, or if you think I maybe was just not in the mood for it, or there was some other reason why I stopped reading it and I should go back and read this one and not get rid of this one. It's particularly because this is a hard one to buy, or not as easy. Well, at the time it was anyway. Let me know. But the more I talk about this, I'm talking myself out of getting rid of all these, which is not the point. This book I bought and read because I wanted to learn about this particular time period in history. So I bought a non-fiction and a fiction book based in it, and it sounded interesting. I did not find it interesting, but I did finish it all. But this was the book that made me come to the conclusion that audiobooks are not reading, in my opinion, because I was reading a scene in this book, and they went into the garden. There was a big fountain, and you can imagine there being some big, beautiful palace in ancient India with a big fountain. And then there was pigeons, and I thought to myself, oh yeah, there's pigeons in India. They're not like the grey demented ones we have outside Greg's, but they're pigeons. And then I stopped. I put the book down, and I couldn't stop thinking about how strange that in my head pigeons wouldn't exist here in this landscape, but they do. And I went on a pigeon research rabbit hole for ages, and I wrote it down in my journal all about pigeons. And did you know that pigeon poo is supposed to be like rabbit droppings, and the only reason it's like splat is because they've all got stomach cancers. And I learned all about how, the urbanization of their environment in this country has made them all really, really ill, and how clever they are. And remember, we used to use them for messengers, and you can train pigeons, and you can milk a pigeon. Not that I would want to, but pigeons are still kept in high regard in India, and they're kept as pets and farmed. And I learned what it means if they're hopping on one leg or if they're spinning around, and I felt very, very, very sorry for the pigeons in our country. But the point is, if I was reading an audiobook, I may have had that thought, but the likelihood is I'd be doing some other task while listening to the audiobook. And even if I wasn't, even if I was sitting in a bath, I wouldn't have paused the audiobook and then gone on that rabbit hole about pigeons. And therefore, other than the fact that when you read a book, your brain is doing two things. One, it's decoding the language, and then two, your brain is having to imagine something and then, do all the rest of the work to put the story together. You're not doing that. You're not looking at a piece of paper. You're not looking at a dead tree and hallucinating for hours when you're listening to something. So I don't think that audiobooks is reading, but you heard the story, but you didn't read the story. But anyway, the point is, I slogged through this. I did not find it that interesting. I actually thought, whilst I read this, maybe I could write, because I didn't think that the writing style was anything impressive, and I thought I could probably write to this standard. So it was good in that sense, but I finished it. I really, 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 really wanted to love this book because it could have been really interesting. I can't say there's anything wrong with the characters. I think maybe it was the writing style. Maybe she wanted to make it more historically accurate. So she this happened, this happened, this happened. So she got the real history in there where it could have been a bit more interesting. So I did finish it. I don't love it. But then I found this, which is the second one. I found this in a free library and I brought it home and I was like, maybe the story gets better. But if you hated the first one so much, why would you put yourself through it? But it's a more is it a more interesting story? Because this was an interesting story, but in my opinion, the author made it uninteresting. So, I don't know. Do I keep or donate? This I asked for Mother's Day, based on Amazon and Goodreads reviews alone. I thought, hey, let's support a self-published indie author. Everyone loves it. There's so much talent out there that's not published. Let's go for it. I thought this was going to be about a magic hotel, and then that's in there. The first few pages were interesting to me, and then it turns into very much young people, high schools, boyfriends, motorbikes, and then I opened a random scene which was an intimate spicy scene, and there is elemental magic, and some guy is like, I'm fire and it's gonna hurt your hoo-ha, but also you're gonna love it. And then I was like, no, not for me. And just the writing style. I opened the page a minute ago and it's like, I was skewered like a shish kebab. It hurt. Well, obviously it hurt. Yeah. Yeah. So, not for me. I'm old, so I don't particularly like reading about teenagers and high schools. I had my Mean Girls era when I was a teenager, and it doesn't really interest me anymore. So I'm sad because it's pretty, and I wanted to love this again, and it was a present, and I really wanted it, but I just don't think this is going to be for me. So I think, unless someone tells me, no, you have to read this, just try it, you'll love it, then I'm going to get rid of this one. This I picked up because it looked really interesting, and it is really interesting. Look, it's written in so many ways that it appealed to my ADHD brain. I even love the fact that it's got like raw edges. It's supposed to look like a journal, I'm assuming. So we have all different types of extracts in here. We have someone's diary, and then we have copies of documents. But I feel like this is an extra story to an existing series that already exists, and if I don't know anything about the world, it just seems a bit jarring to explore it this way as a first introduction to it. And it flips so much around that maybe it's a bit too much for an introduction for me. Like, maybe I should have gone back and read other books about this, I'm not sure, but it's been on my shelves and I haven't really touched it, and I have so many other books I'd rather get to, so I think I should get rid of this. Unless you have read this and you tell me that is a terrible mistake, don't do that, it's brilliant, and then I will give it a go. This one My Sister the Moon by Sue Harrison. I thought, first of all, beautiful cover. I thought it'd be really interesting to read a book set in this time period, because I have not read a book in this time period before. And what intrigued me was, what was it like to live in this time, fictionally at least? Anyway, I got to page 107 and then I didn't care anymore. But I will say I did like this author's writing style. It was a pleasant writing to read. I had no complaints about the writing style itself. I don't think there was a problem with the pacing, but I just didn't, it wasn't interesting what was happening. Yeah, what was happening was paced fine, but the content of what was happening was boring. And all I remember is, was it seals? I think it's seals or sea lions or something. They use the fat and they use the blubber, and that just seems to be all they do. And how many times can you describe that that's what they were doing? I mean, I get it that that's what they did in those times, and that was really important to them, etc., etc. But and abused daughter, yeah, her dad pimps her out. He goes in their tent and cups her breast a lot. That was on repeat. That's yuck. But if it's for the story and it has a point, whatever. And then she's forced to marry, I think it's one of the brothers. She likes the other brother, and the other brother's going away. And I don't know. Does this story have a beautiful premise that I'm missing and I just didn't get that far into it? Let me know if you've read this and if it's worth going back to, because it's not the worst book. I just thought I'm getting bored. There's better books to spend my time with, but I mean, I could imagine that this might get better. So let me know. Do I keep this one or do I get rid of this one? A friend bought me this. I was the biggest Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan as a younger person. I used to rewatch it every year until about 5 years ago. Lots of things in the world that I've changed my mind about. It has kind of lost its luster to me now. I never thought I'd ever say that about Buffy, because I loved it so strongly for so many years. But I've started to change my mind about some of the things and the elements in it, as an old fart person now. But I never liked these, even when I was younger and I used to watch it. I bought a few, but I just don't like the writing style. So I'm not going to read it, and I'm going to get rid of it. Although I'd love to keep it as a collector's item, but I don't have the shelf space. Look at that cover. Look at that cover. It's a chunk. Oh, nowadays I wonder how much this would be, even in paperback, if it were a new release book. So this one, I didn't read very much of it. I got to... there's no bookmarks or dog ears. I think I read about this much, which, given the scale of this book compared to some of the others, it's not really that much. But I remember the characters, and I remember the visuals, and I remember what's happening in this book. I abandoned this book also maybe a year and a half ago, but I flipped through and read some of the scenes, and I have nothing against spicy scenes and sex in books, and in fact I'm writing Open Door, but it's all like demons and stuff, which can be interesting, but I just feel like when it's written by men, I feel like it's very fetishy from their perspective, and I'm not really into that. And before I even knew that was a thing, because I didn't read ahead to those scenes, I just read here, And I know there was a character and she was kind of like a nun and she was in a sisterhood and then blah, 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 blah. I just, I don't know, lost interest. But again, look at the cover. Do I really want to get rid of this cover? A lot of these books, I'm here for the covers. A lot of these books I don't want to get rid of for the covers alone. So, do I keep this? It's vintage. What's going to happen to it if I get rid of it? It might be really interesting. It probably takes a bit more to get into than as far as I read. What do you reckon? Keep it, get rid of it, go back to it. A friend got me this. I think it's very similar to this. Well, obviously it's partially the same author. When I flicked through pages of this one seems more interesting than that one, even though if I was going to judge them by the synopsis alone, I'm obviously more attracted to this one. This one's smaller. What do you make of these if you've read them? Obviously, if you're, well, I don't know where you're going to be watching this, but you probably don't know a lot about my taste to tell me whether I'd like it or not. But if you've listened to me talk about why I didn't like these books, perhaps you could make something of that and tell me whether you think I'd like it or not. This, again, I love reading Vedic text, Vedic literature, and I was really excited to read it as a fictional, more dramatic, character-driven piece of writing, because obviously when you read these Vedic texts, there's so many characters and their names are not native to my language. So like with some fantasy novels, you're like, it's hard to keep up with who's who, and I thought this would really help me. I got to page 291. I only had that much left, and a lot of that grey there is not part of the story. So, but I already know how the story ends because I've read the Gita, I've read a lot of the Mahabharata, stuff like that, and I know a lot of the tales. So I already knew what was actually going to happen in the end. The beginning was interesting. I liked Janavi, is that how we say it? Janavi. Her little blip at the beginning of when she becomes human, that was an interesting read because obviously you're getting character perspective, which you don't get when you just read these tales as tales. And then the rest of it, there wasn't much human experience in it. It was just, this is the story and this is what happened, which is fine. That's a valid part of a story, the way to tell a story. But I had nothing to read on for, even though I nearly finished it because I already know the story. And I didn't find there was anything spectacular about the writing style. There wasn't anything wrong with it. I couldn't find anything to keep me going to the end. So I think I got this from Books and Sea. I think if they want it back, they can have it back. Do I just need to get through that one and I'll just move on to that one and it gets better, or should we just get rid of both? I'm really leaning towards, yeah, let's get rid of these ones. Do I just need to get through that one and I'll just move on to that one and it gets better, or should we just get rid of both? I'm really leaning towards, yeah, let's get rid of these ones. I got this again from a free library before ACOTAR was really the ACOTAR sensation conglomerate that we know it as today. I had a conversation with a lot of people and I said, this is the only one that I own. They were like, no, don't read that one. You have to read all the others. That one's not the best one. Don't start with this one. Don't judge it on this. But I've picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses, every week at the moment when I'm in the queue at Lidl's, because they've got it in Lidl's at the moment. And I just, no, it's not for me. I don't like anything with trials or like Squid Games, Hunger Games style crap in it. And I also watched a YouTube video, I didn't watch all of it, but it was over an hour long and explained the whole plot of it. And I don't really care. That's not a journey that I really think I want to go on. So, yeah. The Forest. Beautiful, signed copy. Genuinely signed copy. Lovely cover on it. Bought it, Lee Gallery Books, never read it. It was eyeing me up as I was checking out with my books, and I didn't really look over too well. I was just something called me. I was like, do you know what? I've got to get that one as well. But what I like books that are not modern. When I'm opening a book, I want to go somewhere else that's not real life. So that means either something fantastical, something historical, possibly sci-fi sometimes, as long as it's not hard sci-fi, more sci-fantasy, fairy tales. I can't do urban modern fantasy. I don't care if they have special powers, but then they got a text. No, thank you. But this one is like a story where it goes through time periods and loops. So I'm only really genuinely interested in the story section half where it's set in the old forest, and I don't care about where we get to, which is a story. I think it's about a news reporter or a journalist. So, but then sometimes you just need to read something that is not your usual and out of your comfort zone. But I've had this for ages now, and my TBR just keeps putting books in front of it, which I'm much more excited to read. So, do I keep it because it's hardback and signed, and I might read it one day, or do I get rid of this one and gain the much needed shelf space? Husbands, I don't think I really care about it, so yeah, let's get rid of this one. Unless you're like, no, you would love that, then let me know. This, not sure. Not sure what I was thinking, but suddenly I'm really disinterested in it, so it's going. Bought for a friend for her birthday. She didn't want it. I got this because it is about a housemaid. I think it was in Scotland, but part of it is a diary, and a lot of it is that she has issues with her mother. And I bought this from my friend because she has issues with her mother, and I thought it might be interesting for her to read something that is historical and understand that people always have issues with their mother, and that she might find something healing about it or from it, but she didn't even want to try it. So I said, fine, I'll try it. But obviously it's sat on the shelf. So unless this is amazing and you tell me it's amazing, don't get rid of it, it's going. Powerless, never read it. Bought it because it was on sale. Hardback, Waterstones edition. Found out there's a trial competition. Just told you, if you've watched the rest of me yabbering, I hate that. Considering the books that I do like and I do enjoy, I don't think this is going to be enough to keep me interested anyway. So I think I'm going to get rid of this one. History, Woolworths, 99p. Anyway, beautiful cover. I have a lot of similar books, or some books that sound similar. So I was just... why is everything that I open got to do about sex? Everything, every page I ever open. Yeah, I don't know why I picked this one up. I can't even remember where it came from. I don't even know if I did pick this up or somehow I've ended up with this for a donation or a gift or something. But unless you've read this and this is such an amazing story, I'm going to get rid of this one. This I bought for my husband because I thought he would find it interesting. He hasn't touched it, so it's going back out of the house. Red Lotus. I can't see, because I have so many books similar to this set in the time period or the type of plot line. I can't remember which one this was, but I think I read a little bit and it was boring. But there's so many, as I said, there's so many like this. I've picked out the ones that I think I'm going to keep. This one on award, apparently this one. So many people have tried this or write this type of thing. If you have any recommendations, obviously I did not like the Poet Empress, or I'm not liking the Poet Empress, let me know. Big. If you've read it and it's one that I should not be getting rid of, speak now, or it's going. Another one from the library sale. I thought, wow, what an interesting idea. I don't want to read a book about that. But then apparently I don't want to read a book about that because it's just sat on the shelf for ages, and it's YA. And I don't usually get a lot out of YA. So I've always wanted to read but never have. I don't know if this is the first one. To be honest, this book really put me off this. But I'm just trying to be ruthless. I keep opening it to a random page every time I look on it, and I'm pretty sure it's about a page where there seems to be a magician explaining to a young girl about periods. I'm sure that doesn't represent the whole story, and I have an idea about what type of book this would be, or the series would be, but again, space-wise, I don't know. I think I'm okay to let this one go. Let me know if this is amazing and one of the best series you've ever read and why, and then maybe I won't get rid of it. But the whole idea is that you encourage me to get rid of all these books, unless I'm making a terrible mistake. Some Ken Follett. I started buying all the Ken Follett books from charity shops because I heard what an amazing writer he was and I wanted to study him. I have another copy of this, so I'm getting rid of this one. And this one is, all Ken Follett's books are big. Full of Giants. Do I have another copy of this? I'm not sure, but this one's so big, and I'm keeping 3 Ken Follett books, and these are not one of them. Multiple copies of Alice in Wonderland, and we're not currently doing it as a read aloud, so that one can go because it's tatty. This I'm not actually interested in. I got it because it was highly recommended, and I got it because it was 3, 4, whatever in a charity shop, and I thought maybe I could flip this book and get some credit for it because it's in mint condition. You know, I would have paid the same amount of money for 2 books, so I just got it. These books, these are never written well. Like the stories, like I'm a huge Marvel fan. I think my kids are, you know, my 9-year-old read The Hobbit when he was 8 in like 2 weeks. So, you know, even though they're like, oh, we want to keep it because we love superheroes, I'd rather they read the actual comics. Much more out of that. This one, whatever series, don't have the series, getting rid of it.